It's typical. Just as I've started recording this, there's some construction work going on outside. I don't know if you can hear that. Literally, as I press the button. Oh, well, look, let's give this a go. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to try and take this YouTube channel of mine in a slightly different direction. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Steve Conway. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to this video. Go back, you can go to the front of my channel. There's like a little mini 1 minute video introduction of what I'm talking about. Basically, I spent 5 years chipping away at making a no budget independent feature film, and after that 5 years managed to get it shown on UK TV several times amongst other things. But the point being is that, you know, it was a huge passion project. It was a huge creative project. It was something that it was something I always wanted to do. I think after dedicating 5 years of your life to something like that, it takes you down roads that you didn't expect and massive learning curves. And as I say, whilst a lot of it has to do with filmmaking, of course, I do genuinely think there's a lot there as well that can be taken, that can be offered to people who are considering taking on huge creative projects as a whole, not necessarily filmmaking. It could be any kind of huge creative project that they've wanted to do for years. You might not know the knock-on effects it might have, which I didn't, because until you go down that road, you are not prepared. There's only so much you can foresee and plan, and a hell of a lot more that you can't. What are some of the things that I'm talking about? For example, I certainly didn't pay enough attention and go into my project prepared enough when it came to do with mental health. You know, I didn't take that into consideration as much as I should have, because, you know, you go into that. I went into my project with a very uncertain date of when it was going to be completed. I went into my project like a lot of you will also be thinking, where I'm like, I'm going to totally disregard everything else. I'm going to just go into this all guns blazing. This film project, or this big, huge creative project, I'm going to totally dedicate my entire life to it, and nothing else matters. Nothing else is going to take me off course. Nothing else is going to take up any of my attention. And trust me, that eventually, and as I say, in my case, it went on for 5 years, can have quite devastating knock-on effects to your mental health because of all the things that come with that. Another one, the personal cost of getting your life back on track. So for 5 years, I decided to totally disregard all other aspects and areas of my life, whether that was career or financial or relationships or, you know, everything. I literally put everything else on hold in order to chip away at making my film. And look, of course, you know, there is always a certain element of sacrificing anything that you want to try to achieve and take on. Of course there is, but you know, there has to be a balance as well, because you will get to the end of something like that, and say a couple of years or 5 years will go by. Trust me, those things, like, for, you know, your career or your finances or whatever it is that's going on around you, those things don't wait. Those things will move on without you. Those things won't just sit there and be like, oh, when you're ready to come back round, we can just pick up again from where you left off. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. While you're in the midst of doing what you're doing and totally consumed by your project, all these other things that are going on in the world and all these other aspects that are going on in your life will just move on without you. And when you do suddenly come back round and resurface again from the, you know, from the bubble that you've like been in for X amount of time, chipping away at your own project, it could be quite devastating to then suddenly realize just quite how far down the road a lot of those things have gone, and then you've suddenly got to play catch up. You're not prepared. You're not prepared mentally. You're not prepared. You know, you don't have the necessarily skills and experience anymore because you've been diverting your attention to other things, and you know that can be quite devastating, especially depending on where you are and, you know, your age as well. I was like in my mid-30s, I was 35 by the time I finished my film, and suddenly I was like, shit, all these other things, I need to quickly start paying attention to them. I need to start getting back on track on like several aspects of my life. And yeah, that can be quite devastating if you're not ready for it or you're not prepared for it. The other aspects as well going into it, you have a clear goal. You have a clear goal of what you think the outcome would be. And in my instance, it was getting a film made. But then again, along the way, you can easily start moving the goalposts of what that finish line is. Because suddenly, I'll give you an example. In my case, it was, well, yes, finishing the film was always the end goal. But then you start learning along the way that there's more to it than just finishing the film. Because then you start thinking about other things like distribution and getting the film in front of people, and well, what can we get out of the film? What can the finished film bring me in other ways? And that was completely different from when I first started. Because when I first went into it, the end goal was, let's get a finished film, let's get a completed film. So but then, as I say, once you get into it, you start moving the goalposts a little bit more as you get to the end of that, because you want to start seeing other outcomes from it. And then again, that can be a very mentally draining experience. The other one I could never have prepared for was how hard it would be to make a follow-up film, which I haven't done. I have not made a follow-up feature film since I made my first feature film in this manner. Again, because the way that I went about it the first way round totally rocked me and totally devastated me. So you don't want to go down that road willingly again, because of how devastating it was to you in all kinds of ways. So you're very wary about doing that again. And also, as I said a moment ago, you're too busy playing catch up with other aspects of your life. So again, this could be something that you're not taking into account, you're not preparing for, that you will find it extremely hard to make a follow-up project. And the other thing is, you may suddenly lose your love for the thing that you went into initially. You may lose that spark, you may lose that passion for it because of the road that you decide to go down with it. If you do dive in head first and decide to go all guns blazing and throw everything at it and become a very specific type of person in order to get your project completed, you become a very specific type of person in the sense that you're asking a lot of the people around you to put up with you. Because you become obsessed, you become a specific type of person. All you're talking about is your project, that's your life. You become isolated, you're by yourself a lot, you become very antisocial. And when you are around people, all you'll do is talk about your project and this and that, and you suddenly become very testing around other people. And even the closest of relationships can be rocked by that. So you don't see the person that you're becoming over a long period of time when it's happening slowly to you, because you're so focused and dedicated on getting your project over the finish line. These are the kind of things I would like to sort of start touching on these new videos that I want to start sort of getting out a bit more frequently. And hopefully, as time goes on, I'll get a bit better at talking in front of the camera and a bit more clearer, and I'll have an ironed shirt next time and whatnot. But like I said, I'm trying to do this off the cuff. Obviously, I've got a few notes here that I've prepared to sort of to keep referring to, but I don't want to make this scripted. I don't want to make this too robotic. I want to make it, natural and sort of talking how I would talk to sort of someone that was sitting here with me. I mean, the other thing is, I don't want to sit here and badmouth it too much and paint this picture that taking on a huge creative project as a whole and going down that particular road is a terrible thing entirely, because it ain't. Because pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, discovering a lot about yourself by, going down that road, there's a lot of good things that can come from it as well. There's a lot of skills you can sharpen by going down that road. There's a lot of self-discovery by going down that road. There's a lot of, there are a lot of pros to going down that road as well. So I don't want to sit here or in future videos, I don't want to badmouth it too much, because in future videos we can get to that. with these more positive aspects that can come from taking something like that on. But it would be wrong to ignore the negative aspects that can also come from taking something like that on. And that's the essence of why I want to put more of these kinds of videos together. It's so in the future, I want to try and find a balance of mixing it up with those kind of coming at the videos from those kind of viewpoints. So hopefully I haven't stumbled my way through this video too much and haven't been too annoying to listen to, and hopefully I will get better in future videos. I'm literally doing this on my mobile phone off the cuff with just a few notes. Obviously I do want to be prepared to come into these videos, and I have got more lined up that I want to get to, but I thought I just wanted to come on here and do a little bit of some explanation video of where I want to take this channel in the future a bit more, and the kind of other things I want to delve into. Hopefully you can join me along the way and join me in future videos, and I look forward to putting the next one out.